Hello and welcome. I'm Andrea Kennedy, and this is the Mainstream Reiki YouTube channel. I'm really glad that you're here. We're going to talk a little bit more today about intuitive Reiki. I'm finding that I'm really liking this topic more than I expected. I'm going to answer a question sent in to me by Courtney. She says, I do wonder, how can we be sure it's intuitive guidance and not our own generated thought? She goes on to say, I'd love a video on this and learning how to access more intuition during a session. I think we're going to break that up into two videos because I can think of a lot to say about each one. So let me tackle the first part of Courtney's question, which is, how can we be sure the intuitive guidance is real and not just something that we've manufactured? The first thing I want to say is thought trails. And what I mean by that is, let me take you way, way back. When I first started getting intuitive things, I had a session. It was on my living room floor. It was a distance session. And I had the word edema come into my mind. Clear as day, edema. I didn't know what the word meant, so that's kind of a good clue that it wasn't my own generated thought. But then I thought, well, wait, certainly I'd heard the word before. So I thought maybe it was me generating that. There were a couple reasons that had me convinced that it actually was intuitive guidance. And so the first thing was, it's what I call a thought trail. There was an absence of a thought trail. And what I mean by that is the word edema was in my mind, it appeared in my mind, and there was space all around this word, if that makes any kind of sense. And there was an absence of a thought leading to the word edema, right? Or the idea of edema. There was no prior thought. It was just all alone by itself, edema. So I probably was thinking of something totally different, totally unrelated, maybe just listening to the music, and all of a sudden the word edema comes in. I couldn't trace it back to anything else that I was thinking about. So that was my first clue. My second clue was I had no way to link the word edema with my client. I had no prior knowledge of any issue she had, no medical diagnosis or anything like that. So I couldn't have come up with the word edema based on any prior knowledge. Thirdly, something very interesting happened. When I imagined me bringing this up to the client, when I imagined sharing that little bit of guidance or insight with her, I got very excited to tell her, which was odd to me. I mean, why would I be excited about telling her that? It didn't make sense to me. And furthermore, I felt so sure about it that when I imagined telling her about, oh yeah, so this word edema came up in the session, I knew, I had this deep feeling of knowing that it would be met with understanding, that it would be accepted, it would resonate with her. That's a good way for me to put it. I really felt so confident in this word, in this intuitive insight, that when I thought about telling her, I just knew it would resonate. I just can't really describe it any further than that. The other thing is, in my body, I could feel sort of a rising, an uplift in my body when I would imagine telling her that. And that's a great tip. Anytime you get intuitive guidance, imagine yourself telling the person about what came up, and then feel in your body, use your felt sense. What does that feel like when you share it with them? And I'll tell you, for myself, when I get these insights, these messages, and when I do that, when I pretend in my mind, to share this, I will get this uplifting, solid feeling. If there's something that isn't quite right, if I'm off, if I have interjected anything from myself, what I find is a sinking feeling. like a dissipation, like a dissonance. So I get a resonance type feeling if this is like yes, and then I get kind of a dissipating or dissonance feeling if there's something not quite right about it. And then I would reevaluate it at that point. I would look deeper to see what part of it perhaps is accurate, and then I would go back and investigate that. What if you don't feel anything in here? What then? Well, you can use your body as a pendulum. Now, some people will use an external pendulum, but I'm telling you, with my mind, I can make that thing do anything I want it to do. It's easier for me to use my body. And if you want to try this, it's pretty easy to do. You can stand up. You would just put your feet about hip distance apart. You're just standing up, arms at your side. Take a breath. Feel the breath in your body. Be present in that moment. Intend to be connected to the universe and to the earth. And then what you would want to do is you would say something like, addressed to your body, show me a yes. And I think it's easier if you close your eyes. So you close your eyes, show me a yes. And you will probably feel your body tend to fall a little forward or fall a little backward. Those are generally the directions that this goes. Most people will tend to lean forward for a yes and backwards for a no. I've had some students, though, when we do this in class, some students will go left or right. That might be different. So everybody's different. And also your answers, your indicator might change. So anytime you're going to do this, I would double check yourself. So you would say, show me a yes. Let's say that you tend to go forward. Then you would say, show me a no. And you would generally go in the opposite direction. Then you can go one step further, and then you can say something, for me, I would say, my name is Andrea, or ask a question, is my name Andrea? Either one, you can do a statement, and a true statement would go in the yes direction, and a false statement would go in the no direction, or a yes-no answer if you asked it in the form of a question. So if I say, is my name Fred, I would expect to go in the no direction. You can practice this and see how it works for you. Does it work for you? But it's a really neat little way to employ your body and learn about your felt sense, because as you practice this little exercise using your body as a pendulum, as you practice that, what I want you to do is really tune in to your central channel, tune into your body in the interior of your body, and see that as you get a yes, as you get a no, what does it feel like in there? And that's what I'm talking about when I get a rise or a fall, or a feeling of resonance or a feeling of dissonance for my yes and for my no. And, that can be different for you. So what I would do is I would try this exercise and begin to determine what these energies of yes and no, what does that feel like physically in your body? And with practice, you'll be able to couple that with your intuition. And so you'll know as things come through, as you imagine yourself sharing it with the client, how does that feel in the body? Is there a resonance, an excitement or not? And that can help guide you as to, what is accurate and maybe what isn't so accurate. A couple reasons things that come up in a session might not be accurate. A big one that I have found is fears. Often we'll have a fear, and this is especially true if we know the person and we know their issues or their struggles. Maybe they have a health concern or something like that. And, we care. And often what I see happen with people is they will have a fear come up and they'll project that out onto the client, and it'll seem to almost reflect off, and they'll think, oh, they have a problem with this or that. They'll think an intuitive hit, so to speak, is real, but it's really coming or originating from a fear that they have regarding that person. A quick example is that I had a Reiki student tell me that she had done a distance session with a family member who was expecting a baby, and she got intuitively in the session that the baby would have a problem. And it turned out not to be true. And thankfully, she didn't share that with the expectant mother. Can you imagine that? But when we talked about it, though, she sort of investigated her own feelings about it and determined that this bit of guidance really was her own fear. And she had tuned into that. And thankfully, she didn't say anything. So our own fears can really play a part in inaccurate intuitive guidance, as well as, I think they go somewhat together. That's prior knowledge about our client. So the more you know about them, the more our own personal thoughts, fears, opinions might enter in. I want to share with you a really neat little exercise that can help you gain confidence in your intuitive guidance during a Reiki session. I practiced with my family members over distance. And what I did was I got their permission that I could send Reiki anytime that I had time to do it. And that was great because it could be late at night, it could be early in the morning. I didn't have to schedule anything with them or, be on the phone with them or anything like that, which helped me be relaxed about it and really in my own space when I would offer the distance Reiki. And I also would have a little index card for each session that I conducted with each person. And what I did was, as I conducted the distant Reiki session, any intuitive guidance, any insights that I got, any feelings I got, anything like that, I would write it on the index card. And next to each one of those, I would rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident I felt with that guidance, how confident I felt that it was true. And what I would end up doing was I would call the person after the session and I would go over my notes from the session and I would know the rating and I would get feedback from those people about the guidance. And sometimes, wow, it was right on. And it was interesting for me to be able to reference how sure I was about that particular information. And also, I knew how that came in. And what I mean by that is, was it a word that I heard in my head? Was it a picture that I saw? Was it a symbol that I saw that I interpreted to mean that? So it not only helped me with my confidence in was I receiving accurate information, but it helped me gain confidence in how I was receiving the information and what was working for me. That's something that you can start doing right now that can help you gain a lot of insight as you develop your intuitive guidance. I hope what I've said in today's video is helpful to you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below in the comments section. Please like the video if you liked it and consider subscribing to the Mainstream Reiki YouTube channel. Just one way I'm trying to help Reiki go more mainstream to help more people enjoy the wonderful benefits of Reiki. Until next time, I wish you the highest Reiki blessings.